obviously, when you do an EB5 investment, one of the most important kind of initial things to do is to prepare your source of funds documents and work with a qualified EB5 immigration attorney to get everything organized before you can finalize what project you're going to select. Tell us a little bit about your experience interviewing attorneys and selecting the attorney you wanted to work with, and then how was that working process to get all of your application documents and things organized?
So, as part of my journey through the EB5 process, I initially did have conversation with multiple attorneys, I should say more than 5. And then finally, I was able to find one, which is probably more suitable the way I like to work, to be more specific. And then I was introduced to Anahita George by EB5AN. And once I spoke to her, maybe in the first couple of minutes, I made up my mind that I was proceeding with this attorney because of there are a couple of things that I primarily look at while speaking to an attorney. Each individual might have their own preferences, but for me, ease of communication is the top priority. And also somebody who has that experience working with investors from India and documenting their source of funds. So I had to look at other opportunities like taking some gifts from my parents, or a couple of other routes where I had to source my money from. And I really wanted somebody who has that experience, which is why I was more inclined towards Anahita, and also communication being my top priority. Typically, the way attorneys worked, as I mentioned earlier, that I've spoken to more than 5 attorneys, is that traditional way that we approach an attorney is by seeking an appointment, and usually there's a wait time. But in my case, I usually prefer a bit more quick communication process where I'll be able to sort my things out, which is why in this case, I felt Anahita was really, really helpful and has some great experience in managing and working on the source of funds documentation. And I should really thank EB5AN in showing me those right attorneys that are suitable to work with me. So generally, my suggestion would be to pick an attorney based on the individual's comfort level working with them and their experiences in managing source of funds documentation, to be in specific, and also looking for someone who has that extensive experience in documenting all of it appropriately and showing all the channels that the funds came through, irrespective of where they're coming from. So independent from the project, since I've known EB5AN, if I Google for a regional center, EB5AN would be one of the top 3 regional centers that would come up, right? And also having heard of EB5AN for quite a bit now, and also considering the credentials of the regional center, of the people who established this regional center, EB5AN, enabled me, and since I had that positive impact, I chose to proceed with EB5AN.